Sure. And we're about to be live, and we are. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hello. I feel like Mrs. Doubtfire. Hello.
Hello.
Hang on a second. Welcome to And Just Like That, Aftershow here on JLJ Media. I'm one of your hosts, James Lott Jr. I would never do this alone because it would be boring as F. I have Emily May. Hi, Emily May.
Hi.
Be boring with it by myself. I won't do it by myself. So she's here with us again. We're doing this again, episode 3, which is titled Chapter 3, which makes sense.
Very appropriate.
I love it. I love how they do that. I want to mention one thing before we get started. I'm watching Kim Cattrall's new series.
Me too.
Okay. So it's called Glamorous. I guess I should know you were watching it. It's called Glamorous. It debuted this week, and I've already watched 9 of the 10 episodes.
Oh, I'm not that far down.
Okay, but
you're watching it too. Like 3.
But you're watching it too, so that's great.
I'm watching it too. Yeah.
I like it. I like it so far, and she's great at it. She's really good at it. So I want to give a shout out to that. It's a top 10 Netflix hit already, and so. But that's for you and I both watching it. Maybe we'll do a recap, a season recap of it. I want to talk about it with people. I think. So I'll talk about that.
Let's do it. I have to catch up. I'm maybe over the holiday weekend.
Yeah. I decided to watch it. I couldn't stop watching it, so I ended up just watching it one night. I was like, okay, screw work. I'm just gonna watch it all. But I have to watch the season finales. I haven't watched that yet. But
okay,
stay tuned.
Don't give anything away.
Yeah, stay tuned. We'll talk about that at some point. But yeah, I like it so far, and so people check it out. Seeing Kim Cattrall in another role, it's fun to see her in that. And also, she was on The View this week and mentioned that she is going to be back. And again, they can't tell us anything, but we know it's not going to be probably with the girls. But it will. But she said, what she did say, Emily May, is she got Patricia Fields to dress her.
Yes, to do the costumes. So, and I think Sarah Jessica Parker also had an interview where she mentioned something that like didn't give too much away, but said that it was some type of interaction with Carrie. So I don't know if it's via text or like, because there is a lot of like back and forth. People are living all over in different cities. Yeah. We see Miranda calling back and forth. So I'm assuming it's a quick like cameo of some sort in the sense of like she either answers a call or something. That's the inkling I'm getting, because if they didn't necessarily have to do dialogue together, because that's the somewhat spoiler, is like they didn't necessarily have to record audio or any scenes together, means that it's probably a one take thing that they could do wherever she was.
I agree. Well, she said I'd have Patricia Fields dress me for this. Yes. So I was like, yes, it makes me smile. But okay, so there's that going on. Okay, so watch, like, subscribe, comment. This show is on JLJ Media. I'm the JLJ of just say that 5 times fast of JLJ Media. I am. It's crazy.
You are. You're there. You're right there.
I'm right here. All right, I could get it out. So make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Share this after show with everybody. I've been tagging and just like that, Max, and all the stuff. So let's see what's going on. So it's a lot of fun. Okay, so we get into it. This is chapter 3. There were a couple. We'll start with a couple of smaller. I forgot. Overall, what did you think?
I thought this was one of like the most like for this season, it was the one more serious. Obviously, it was more sentimental. They talked about sentimentality and like kind of real life issues in a very real way. And so I feel like this was the first 2 episodes were kind of fun. Like they're kind of like making fun of like the podcast and like the commercial. They had some of the drama between people. It felt a little bit more light. And then this one kind of got back to the reality of like why these characters are in this situation, what Carrie's been through this last year. And because finally we kind of had to be reminded again. So I felt like it was a really good episode. I liked how it was more centered around Carrie, and we got to see kind of, because people don't really talk about how like that grief doesn't go away, which I know we'll get into, but so I felt like it was a very good episode. It was less funny. I feel like it wasn't as funny as I like going in. I think there was moments of levity, but I think it was a serious topic.
Yeah, so for me, yes, no more serious, touching upon, which we'll get into, the big thing. But I did chuckle a little bit. There were a couple because she had kind of serious scenes. Miranda and Shay had serious scenes,
Mm-hmm.
but the other two were comical. I think they were comical, but they were small. So I get what you're saying. They weren't like huge, hilarious scenes,
Yeah.
but they had a couple of chuckling. I chuckled a couple of
Yeah.
moments,
Yeah.
but no, this is much more serious. No, I totally
Mm-hmm.
agree with you. It's much more serious, which is good because I think we only have like 7 episodes left or something like that, or 5 episodes, or how it's. I think there's only 11 episodes a season or something. So we're getting there. We're at number 3. So I guess it was time to go back to really talking about Carrie's life after Big. Like we
Mm-hmm.
haven't really talked about that. So I thought it was appropriate. So let's get into that. Number one, just smaller ones. Seema in the Burka bag made me kind of laugh. And because remember back on the first series, I mean, Birkin bags were big back when they first came. Remember those?
Yes.
Big. Ooh, they were big. And I love how Seema was like, and this is the one of those I got before there was a list. I was like, oh, that's so funny. This is old school. And New York, here's what's funny, Emily May. So my family's from New York. We told us before, you're from New York, the New York stuff. So you'll get this. So back in the early 80s, when I used to go visit, my first time visiting was like 81, 82. And that's when New York was really dangerous back then. So I was told, James, you're gonna go to New York, you might get mugged. That was a big thing. You might get mugged. Now, I want to tell you, May, I have been drunk in the streets. I have walked these, went to parties or anything. I've never been mugged in New York. I've been, knock on wood, I have never been mugged.
I would walk like 60 to 80 blocks home at night after a show. I'd go, I'd pick up groceries along the way. I'd pick up like a little ice cream cone in the summer. Like I would walk 80 blocks home without even blinking an eye.
I agree.
So, but there are, well, like you have to be vigilant, but like, so like this, like, but I know that there are like areas you obviously have to be careful, but like they're in like this like fancy neighborhood.
Yes.
So,
but I'm just saying I've never been mugged. It's kind of funny. I've never been mugged. I've been very fortunate. I was told as a kid.
Let's hope no one ever has to go through that.
Yes, exactly. Because New York is much more cleaned up than it was back in the day. But it was kind of funny with that. And what the funny part was, this is so New York though. No one, it's like no one's stopping this. Like no middle of broad daylight. That's something about New York. When I used to go to New York all the time, people mind their own business. New York. I just chuckle. It's just so funny. It's like I see people peeing in the street. Like nobody says nothing. There's rats eating things over there. Like nobody says anything. People just keep
everyone like puts their tunnel vision on, is like straight ahead, get into the subway, get into their work. Like they're just boom there. Like you don't pay attention to anyone else, anything going on.
No, and it just made me. And so later, also when they had Lizette's party, her dime party, and I was kind of going, why is the guy just putting stuff in his?
That broke my heart.
Me too, but it was so funny. It's like nobody's gonna do anything. Like it just that made me kind of just like that's so New York. And when Homegirl pulled out that gun, I was like, she had a gun. And then it was not a real gun, but that was really fun. I was like,
they do make those.
Yeah, they do make those. Like they do make those.
I liked this little like insight of that friendship, because Lizette we haven't really seen since really last season, but I love how she's like flourished, and she's like this amazing. We've seen, we saw her kind of build her jewelry line, and she's very talented. So I love how like that friendship's blossomed, and I like how this season is like we get to see I think friendship is a theme in this episode where it's like different types. You have different, and I know you've gone through this too, and myself as well. Is like you have different chapters of friendship, right? You have different chapters. Like some people are in your life for a long time, and then sometimes you have falling out, and like that person was a great person in that time of your life, but then you move on, or you find someone that is like perfect for this moment in your life. And so I feel like Carrie, in her time of grief, is finding all these different people that are filling these holes. Again, it's that metaphor they used, they talked about in the episode about the hole, that like you'll never be able to fill that hole, but you can grow around it and you can plant those seeds around it. And I feel like this was a very symbolic episode where she was planting these people in her life in order to try to like fill some of that.
I agree with that completely. And piggyback off of you, there was also a metaphor of, she says, I have to start all over. And Carrie goes, I know something about that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so, showing Carrie, each of these people are reflections of Carrie, right? That's how it's always been, right? That's how it's always been. They're all parts of Carrie. And so Lizette's like the younger version of this. And so when she said, I have to start laying in bed with the chocolates, so that was kind of cute. I have to start all over. And she's like, yeah, I know something about that too. And I thought that was her having to start over also. She'll talk about Carrie's storyline in a sec, but like that, she had to start over. And once you finish chapter 3, we'll get that. So that's
because if you think about it, Carrie's had to, like, if you think of the whole series of the TV show, you think of all the movies, you think there's been chapters of heartbreak, and then she has to start over. And so every time she has someone in her life that gives her a different perspective. So she has, Miranda and Charlotte and Samantha, and now all of these other slew of characters that can give her perspective that she can't see herself. And that's why all those people are there. It's like, hey, well, I'm talking about a burqa bag, but really you lost your husband. And like it's a little perspective. It's like grounding Carrie and grounding her in reality a little bit with a little help.
Yes, I like that too. Yeah, the Birkin bag was also, she lost it. It was old and nostalgic, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
The metaphors were all there. So I'm glad I saw it too. You saw it, I saw it. I think that was the point. But then when she finds the bag.
She does.
I didn't see that coming. Actually, I did not see.
I didn't see it coming either. I thought it's gone. I forgot about it. I was like, she's gonna have to get over it.
Yeah.
I thought maybe she'll find it on one of those. I did have a thought that maybe she'll find it on one of those like resale sites.
Yes,
like going back to like Charlotte's thing, the other episode. I thought, oh, maybe she'll find it on like a resale site, but no, she just found it on the floor.
That's so funny. It's like an old fashioned. He took the wallet and ran. I love that. She's got a Birkin bag back, so that was fun. And also, and I've been in it before too, because I don't know how anybody drives in New York. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how you drive in New York, because there's 100,000 things going on, and New York City itself is a grid, and it's like 51st and 2nd, and 53rd and G, and 25th, and like it's just all a grid. There is trash trucks just there doing stuff, and you could be sitting there in a car. It's complete. That's completely New York, and I kind of like that they kind of showed that. So that was good. So that was Steven's storyline. Now, this storyline is kind of weird. I mean, I chuckled a little bit, but it was kind of weird for me, the whole MILF storyline. The MILF list. It was a little weird. I smile. I mean, yes, some of these kids, I will say, they're growing up fast. That is happening. But I felt
like this was like a holdover. Do you remember like when Kim Cattrall's storyline came out about why she didn't sign on for season 1? Do you remember that it was some type of like underage story with like
or something? I mean, something. Yeah, I guess something like that.
Something, right? And I was like, maybe this is like a slight holdover, because I felt like it was so out of place.
Yeah.
And I feel like Charlotte wouldn't have been involved in anything like that.
Yeah.
Charlotte would be like the last character I would have thought would have been like, oh dang, look at that like 16-year-old. I'm like, no.
Yeah, that was a little weird. So I think they were trying to be kind of provocative and funny, like these old horny mothers, I guess, from the Upper East Side or whatever. I mean, I know it was just weird. I don't have much to say about the storyline. I just thought it was kind of weird. I'm like, I don't know about that. So that was weird. Well, I guess the piece of the storyline from Che and Miranda is the Brady thing.
Yeah,
so that was very interesting. I've gotten new phones, and they suck sometimes. I've gotten new phones, and I'm like, but I'm an Apple person, folks. Sorry, I'm not Android anymore. I'm an Apple person. But I've gotten phones where they're messed up, so I kind of get that part. But Brady and Louisa broke up, so we don't see her then. I guess I don't see her. I guess.
Well, so this was another theme that I found was. Carrie kept asking Miranda to come home. Like, you need to come back to New York. You need to come back to New York. And Miranda said, no, this is like my play life. And she doesn't want to get back to reality. But the thing that brings her, because remember I was asking, like, where's Steve? I'm like, where's Steve?
I thought of you.
Yeah. And I was like, why are people not talking about this? Like, where are her kids? Why is she not paying attention to her kids? So finally, this is the third episode, and we hear what's going on. And I was like, finally. And I was kind of frustrated because finally Miranda is like acting like a person again. Because I feel like she has been living this like got so heated watching this part. Because she finally was like brought back to reality. And I was like, just because you are finding your sexual identity again and having this like new resurgence of life and relationships does not mean you can forget about your kids and your commitments back at home. So I was like, so like finally this one thing,
Yeah.
kind
It
of
was,
knocked her out of reality a bit.
yeah, it was like, and again, but still, I totally thought of you in this episode. I thought, but let's say again though, where's Steve?
Yes. Well, we saw a clip of him in the trailer, so I was like, okay, he's gonna come back.
Yeah, he's gonna come back. But it was but this episode, I thought of you though. I thought if she came home, would she run into Steve?
Yeah, I was like, is Steve gonna be there? Is Steve waiting there? Is Steve like, did Steve say like, are they divorced yet? And they're still working it out, but Steve said, go do what you need to do. Like, go get all this out, right? Like, go, like get all that out of the way and then come back. I don't know. We don't know.
Because I feel like because after you said that last episode, I started thinking about it. I go, Emily May is right because in the original series, they would have really worked through that. We would have saw it
Yes.
we would have saw it on screen because they had a lot.
Mhm.
Because Steve had a lot of screen time in the original series. I mean, we would have really seen it. Her with Che, her with Steve. We would have saw it. So I'm shocked they have not even given us like a full episode of. Well, maybe I already said it was in the trailer. We need an episode of like what the F is going on.
Yeah, because Steve was so pivotal. Like, Steve was the person that Miranda finally was like, you know what, I can marry someone. Like, I can actually commit. Like, he was the person that helped her trust men
Yes.
and make that commitment. And obviously, there were some indiscretions that happened.
Yes.
They worked through them. And
Yes.
then now there's more indiscretions on like on the opposite party. So
Yes.
they obviously like, grew apart. But
Yeah.
it's like I feel like Miranda is one of those steadfast characters, and like she's stubborn, she's frustrating, and I feel like she wouldn't be one to just be like, all right, well, I'm moving on to the next person. So that's why I need closure for myself, who is committed to this relationship. Like, I'm committed to this relationship
I agree
of
with you.
Steve and Miranda.
I agree with you because I know some folks online have said it feels like she's still cheating. But I guess that's the whole thing. She said to Carrie, "I feel like I'm a pretend lamb." It's like you just said.
Yes.
Maybe that's what's going to bring her back to reality. Like, and what she said, and so the whole Che thing, it was pretty. I mean, so they're running lines, and it's funny if you look at the cinematography. LA's always very bright,
Yes.
always very airy. They have a cute
New
little
York is
house.
dark.
It's I know. But it's very airy and it's big, and I thought it was ironic that Shay was like, I don't want to cry, I don't want to do this, but then she cries because she's over how they're treating her. Very Hollywood. Miranda's there, but Miranda bringing in the phone, that's a little much for that because it is a little much. I was like, okay. But Che getting into that scene with the director, that director is producer was a dick. She was like, or they, I guess they were director was a they also, I think. Was like, they are not not an actress. They're stand up or whatever. And Tony Danza came to her defense, came to they.
Yes. I would have been so mad. I would have been like, I'm done.
I was like, hello. Well, they'll get the scene. I'm like, you'll get the scene. And Tori did stuff for it, but her and Shay, when she said, you don't know what it's like. And Shay just kind of like, but it did kind of end still on that decent note. I kind of like that. And then she didn't just storm off. She said, I hope he works out with Brady. The show's gonna be a big hit. She kind of smiled. So I'm kind of glad they didn't just fight and she storms off.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're gonna have a doozy. I think obviously there's gonna be some big moment we're gonna have to watch. But I think obviously like Miranda's been kind of living in this fantasy and has been enjoying life, which is great for her, but like she's not really looking at the responsibilities she needs to take care of, and we're seeing the ramifications of that. Like, why is her phone, like, her phone's not working, and then her son's trying to get in contact with her for days. Like, I get it. Sometimes your phone messes up and, things are weird, right? But I don't know. It just seems so out of character because she's like one of the most responsible people.
Well, almost getting a tattoo.
Yeah.
Whole thing. I'm like, that guy, hi Ricky, he was fine. He was
That's
fine.
hilarious. She used the therapist, the tattoo artist as a therapist. That's
Yes,
a
I
good.
loved it. It's very LA. I loved it. That was kind of fun, and it was it's something that she's Miranda. Miranda's the one who's going through the change. I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, I don't mean the women's stuff. She's going through the change of just like of life itself, and she's questioning everything.
Yeah.
And we thought Miranda was the most straight, like you said, most straight laced, button down, like, but no, those are the ones that sometimes their lives get turned upside down because they're so straight laced all the time.
Exactly. Like they're so square, they're stuck in a box, they feel stuck all the time. They usually make decisions based off practicality and rationality, not emotion. And so she finally was making, decisions based off of her emotions and like what she was feeling. And she's seeing the ramifications of that. So I'm hoping we find a more well balanced Miranda where we get a little bit of emotion and a little bit of rationality. Cause I feel like you need a mix of both. You can't just do all one and all or all the other, you know?
I was hoping she was gonna get a tattoo. I was hoping she was gonna get like a little small one, not a
Well,
big one, but this one. I was hoping she was gonna get like a little small one and say, "I got this." Yeah, I was hoping she was gonna do that.
yeah. Well, she did get a little tattoo.
But the only other side, she did get a little one, so she got a little tiny one. That's right.
She got a little one, but I felt like it was very lawyer. I was like, that's a
Yeah,
very lawyer tattoo.
yes, that's true. So Miranda, we got to see more character development with her in terms of her New York life. I think that's what we're waiting for next.
Like, and who left? She left this apartment that she lived in for like how long? Months?
I don't even know. Well, I
I mean,
guess
you
even months at
never,
this point. Yeah, at this point,
yeah,
months.
you never really give up your New York apartment. Like you hold on to it,
No, yes.
get that rent control going.
Yeah, that's right.
But uh, yeah, I just am so, or maybe she's been in it for so long that it's like okay.
I know. I don't
I
know.
have so many questions. I read
Yeah,
into it too much.
yes. But it was good. But it was good seeing Brady. So we'll see what that would all
I
that.
know, a little heartbreak,
I
little
know.
young heartbreak.
Like heartbreak. Yeah, it's
But I liked
devastating.
how we're seeing like we saw Lizette have a different type of heartbreak, and then now we're seeing her son have a heartbreak, and you're seeing kind of a younger generation. How do they pass on their knowledge and their learnings of all their heartbreaks? So we're kind of
Yes,
seeing how they do that.
I agree with that. So the big storyline, of
Yes.
course, is Carrie recording her book, which
Yeah.
I think you either you called it or we were talking about like what was going to be next. I think one of us brought up that could be possibly recording. I mean, her books or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's happening, and she's on chapter 3. Of course, they add the little funny things where the one guy is stinky and he's like he gets gonna stinky or whatever. Um, but it was very serious, and I always wondered. No, I was like, if you write a book where you tell some of your deepest, darkest stuff, and you're the narrator, and you talk, and you're the audio person, how do you get through that? So they did a great job giving us a glimpse into that.
Yeah.
And
I
Carrie,
mean,
yeah, please,
yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're like an audiobook person, but I've listened to like many memoirs where it's the
yes,
person this life and they're reading it and they're saying it, and it's so much deeper and so much more powerful when you hear it from their own voice. And I don't know how they do it. I don't know how many takes it takes,
right.
but you obviously can see like they talk about really painful moments. This was one of them, but I don't know how I would get through that.
On either end, but they show us how hard it is for her to get through this, and
Hmm.
and so and just I like because we're in this business of hosting and recording and stuff. I love them showing the mundane stuff. Okay, try that, take more time. You're dropping your P's. I can actually do voiceover,
Oh.
so I know all that stuff. And dropping your T's. You're popping your P's. I know all that stuff. I've been in a booth before, and I've been told to slow that down, speed that up. So it's like they show the regular mundane stuff of recording. That it's not some simple thing to do. It's a lot of work. But with Carrie, which is funny, is that she was reluctant to put this book out in the first place. She wrote it, but she put it out. Now you're putting it out, and now you got to do the audio version. And I love it. Her producer's fun, and it's kind of funny in there. And it's at that scene. I thought that was okay. So I was like, okay, we're at that scene. Like you said, we're taking it back to season 1, to that episode. Literally, when he started training the shower.
Yeah, it's that scene that we all talked about of like, what was going through her head? Why did she do it that way? What's like?
Yes, we were.
Yeah, we all talked about it. Like, why was she just standing there? What's going on? And we were like nitpicking it. But what I liked is they went back to this moment. And I'm sure you've been here, but there's been moments in my life where I could literally replay the moment in my head to the detail, to what it smelled like, to what it sounded like, to what was happening, to what I was wearing, to what happened 2 minutes before, what happened after. Like, you literally can relive it. So this was like her reliving it. And I think that's why it was so emotional. And I think it gives a better insight into like what you physically and mentally do in moments of like stress and heartbreak and trauma.
Yes.
So I liked how they really like took time. Or some people try to like go through it real fast, right? They're like, let's just go through it. And then others just like can't get through it. So I liked how they took the time to show you how different people might approach it.
Well, also, and everything the producer kept saying was kind of like for her life, you slow it down, take your time, to say these lines. And because it was a tough part, I just love the cinematography of it, where the room started to kind of swirl a little bit. It was like she was in the middle of it, the sound of the water, so all of us at home can literally go back to that scene where she finds him and you're right, and explains what she did, how she felt, and why she did what she did. So I thought, very unique way of doing that. It was very cool the way he did that. But the fact was, at first, because I went online, everyone's talking about this, of course. At first, she couldn't do it, she said. So she called in COVID. Everyone, for some reason, I was glancing at some of the other reviews, and they're all mentioning the COVID part. I think it's so funny that she faked COVID to try to get out of it. I thought that is actually hilarious. And
oh my God, that's not cool.
It's not. So everybody's
so not cool.
That. I was like, that's so funny. But I get what she was trying to do. She was scared. This was too hard for her. She was like, no, I can't do this. And she faced, so like she said to Seema, I lied to my 2 oldest friends, but how long do you ask them to be with you in this grieving process?
Yes.
And they're like, and she's like, but they're your friends. Yeah. And that's hard. That's hard. And I'm going, my mother's with it right now. So I know lost her husband. She's dealing with it right now. So it's so weird. Yeah, it's a kind of this episode's a little too close for me, a little bit on that side of it, but it's so true. It's just kind of
it's hard. It's hard because you don't know, like, I've been on many sides of it, right? Like, I've been grieving directly, like it's a direct person very close to me, or I'm grieving with someone where it happens to them, but I'm there with them, right? And so there's different like levels and like energy put towards all that. And what I find is if you, like they said in the show, like if you are a true friend, you're gonna remember and be there every year. You're gonna make sure that they're okay. Like, I still follow up with people that I know, like it's the anniversary, and I know, like, hey, I'm checking in on them. I'm not maybe physically there. We're in different cities, or because again, life does go on, but you also taking that time to like remember and still just be there, because you're gonna have days where it just really sucks, and you just you have to remember the people that are there for you, and then you have to take time to, like, if you're on like that as that friend or as that support system, like you have to remember to take care of yourself too. You can't always fully and that's why I think it's important to have these different friends throughout those chapters, right? So you can have, like, that's why I like that scene, is because you have someone that is newer in your life, that can fully take it on a little bit more. Not saying that like Miranda and all of them can't. It's just different, Yeah,
I agree with that. I know for me, I lost a brother 6 years ago. So Bitsy said, so she ran to Bitsy, which is always funny. When she ran to Bitsy and said, I want you to read your book because it's our, still probably giving us, a take on losing someone you love. And Carrie's like, I'm not sure about that. And when Bitsy said, the joke is, it's the second year. And I have to say, personally for myself, it was the third and fourth years. It's you're like, as you know, you're in shock. When someone dies, you're in the middle of it. You're shocked. You're grieving on some level. But then the first year, it's always kind of hard too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it hits you 3 or 4 or 5 years later, and you're like, okay, how'd that hit me? And it could be a song on the radio or a thing you used to do, or yes, anything. So I think that was a really smart thing that she said to her. Was like, no, it's just sometimes, and for her, it was the book.
Yeah.
She's literally look at that.
Yeah, it's the book. And usually like the first year, you're so busy dealing. I know this sounds kind of like,
oh yeah,
but you're kind of dealing with the business of death. I know that sounds really like kind of straightforward, but you're dealing with just all the arrangements, and you have people always kind of around you. You might have to sell a house. You might have to sell or go through belongings. Like, you're always doing something in that first year. So you don't have time to sit with your grief. You don't have time to really take that in. And so that's why I do believe the second, third, fourth year is harder, because the silence is there.
Yes.
The busyness of it is like waning.
Yes.
It's slowly going away. And there's certain things that, and even years later, things come back to me where little moments or little, like, I'll hear a little saying where I'm like, oh, whoa, and it kind of takes you out of that and brings you back to that grief. So you'll always have it with you, but it just comes in different levels.
I completely agree with that. And like I said, for me, sometimes it could be a song. It could be news of something my brother loved, of an artist he loved. And I'm like, oh, I wish I could tell him, So yeah, so it does come in waves. And you're right. When everybody is done helping you that first year, it's like, okay. And that first anniversary, it's okay. 3 years later, you can still feel it. The grief has no time period. So I thought it's cool that she said that, because Carrie now will be defined before big, after big, which that's just how it is. And that's going to be a major thing for her. And that's kind of like, they're setting us up too for that. Like, this is Carrie's life now. She's after, it's post big.
Exactly. And she has to like come to terms with that in the way that she needs to, in order to move on, whether it's new friends, new lovers, new books, new careers. It's all new chapters.
Yeah, I love her apartment. I just do. I love her apartment. I love it. She was sitting there and all the bookshelves in the back and the plastic. I love her apartment. I love her apartment.
I know. We've had many moments in that apartment.
Yes. Yes, we have. I actually kind of love that her phone, her ringtone on her cell phone is a regular phone. Because remember in the first series, she had a landline. She had a landline. And I got to tell you something really quick too. So my aunt was sick, and I was taking care of her house, trying to find her dog. Her dog got lost, but the dog is back. Okay, but here's what's funny: I had my aunt's cell phone the whole time while she was in the hospital. They're gonna call. I forgot my aunt had a landline, and I was like, and they called the landline, so it made me laugh. Like, oh my god! So I guess landlines can still be useful. Kids out there can still be useful.
Landlines are important, especially in earthquake. Landlines might work during an earthquake or an emergency more than cell phone towers. So just saying. My mother-in-law still has a landline. Still I don't know if she still has the cord attached to the phone, but I know she does. I believe she does have a landline, and she's had that thing since I've known her, which is a long time.
That's so funny. I have a landline, but see, mine is connected to my internet actually, so it's kind of weird. So I don't know, but I have.
Oh, they are now. Yeah, they are now.
I have one. I've used it a couple times, but I don't even know. I don't even know the number anymore. I'm sure I have it written down somewhere, but I have a landline, but if the ringer's turned off, I never use it. But I heard the same thing, Emily. I've heard the same thing, that in certain situations, it might be the landline you're able to use, and not the cell towers get knocked out or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, Carrie, through the process of talking to several people throughout the episode, she goes back in because they we'll get an extra week. Haha. So it was meant for her to do this, and she gets through chapter 3, and so that was a very nice, touching moment. But the part that made me laugh, of course, because they let us know she didn't get COVID the whole time. We found out she got through it. But so at the end, when her, oh my, this is so funny. When her and Seymour out and having drinks at a communal table. Yes, to meet the rugby team from Sydney. I'm like, I wish I was there.
I was like, can I go have some fun?
I know, I was like, oh, that was fun. And she goes, and just like that, I got COVID. So I think that's hilarious. I didn't expect that part at the end, because at the end, show was just like that. So I didn't expect, I did.
That was a nice little button, you know.
Yeah, it was. So she actually really got COVID.
I wonder how she got COVID.
Yes, exactly. Well, the one little thing I forgot to mention is now they're showing Naya, possibly because her and her husband now are split.
Yeah. With
the cute sound guy. So now we're seeing it's a possibility she might be going out there on her own too. But they're all kind of in transition. Half of them are in transition.
Yeah. I think they're all trying to find their next little chapter, you know?
Yes. I was like, he was cute. And so
he was cute. I saw them flirting. They were flirting.
It's flirting. We've all, because I've been mic'd before. Not nobody cute, but I've been mic'd before. I'm sorry, Emily. I've never had anybody that cute mic me before. For sure. I got mics for Jimmy Kimmel. I got mic, and they were nice, but they weren't like, come down my chest nice. I was like, sure. They're regular folk. Sorry, they're regular folk. Nobody with big arms. Sorry. I wish, trust me. Emily and I work in this business, so we know how it is, but like I've had people mic me and it was nothing that exciting.
Depends on which direction. Are they going here, there? No.
Either way, they weren't the ones I wanted them to go any direction. So it was okay, girl. It was quite all right. And so that was all right. Well, actually, we did it. That's all right. That was episode 3, chapter 3, as they called it. And just like that. So, because it wasn't a real packed episode. It was very much, like you said, I think it was about friendships, relationships, and about really looking at yourself, looking inward, and looking at yourself to get through something. But I'm waiting for the Steve Miranda thing. I think most fans are also.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a little glimpse in the trailer that he's there. It looks like all 3 of them are sitting on a couch. Maybe they're in therapy, maybe they're in family therapy, or maybe they're trying to figure something out. I don't know. But I'm intrigued.
Because Che is now out doing their thing, filming their show. So now back in New York, we'll see what happens there, right?
I know. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Miranda and Che. Are they going to work it out? Are they doing long distance? Is Miranda going to go back to LA? I'm interested to see. Really, that's like a big one that I'm just waiting on. I'm waiting. And then also just seeing what Carrie's next step is. Because if she's recorded the audiobook, is that going to go viral and go really well? And then she's going to start on another book. Maybe her other book is about some other love interests.
Yeah. I wonder what the next check is. I wonder if she will do another podcast.
Yeah. On
her own. Because someone said that to her, you should do maybe doing it, but she just like wasn't really into it. I'm like, what if she does one on her own?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't get any inkling of what's next for her yet after this. So I think she obviously had to get through this moment first in order to kind of see that. So
I agree. That's what I agree with you on that one too. I agree with you on that one. Yes. So thank you for joining us, everybody who's live. Thank you for joining us live. And those of you guys who are already watching this later, we appreciate it. Please tell folks, like, subscribe, comment, share. Everybody with this, and we're doing this after show for and just like we like the show, so we're watching it. We're gonna watch it to the end.
Yay!
No, it's funny. We're here on Thursday nights, 7 p.m. So we how to say this: 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern. I was going to say it, so I'll make sure I'm saying it. Make sure I'm saying
Perfect.
And Emily, so what do you have coming up these days out there in the I know you're doing wrestling stuff. So what do you have coming up these days?
Oh my goodness, I have some shows in July and August, and just follow me on all social platforms at Emily May Heller, and I put all my announcements there. And I hope everyone stays safe and cool in the summer. We're getting to that heat. So
you're there already, girl. So
we're already there. I'm already sweating.
Yeah, you're already there. So she's already in the heat in Texas. But it's funny. So yes, follow her at Emily May Heller. Follow her. She'll tell you see all the things she's doing over there. And I'm at James Lott Jr. of course. 4th of July is coming up, so everybody have a safe, please, because I know firecrackers, fireworks. Have a safe 4th of July because I don't mind them, and also all folks who have dogs. I feel for you because we have a dog too. I know you can get vests, you can get you can get certain medications that are safe. My one dog just like me holding them. I'm just sympathizing with you because I know how hard it can be for dogs the night of flight for it. So I want to make sure I mention that. I know it's tough. I know it is. Those little, you know how it is.
My cats hide under the bed or under the covers. I can't imagine dogs stuck outside. Like bring them inside. Bring them inside. Yes. Give them, give them lots of love. And if you're not there, hopefully, they're safe inside. So
yes, I agree with that. Everyone, we'll talk to you guys next. We'll be back next Thursday.
Next week.
See you guys next time. Bye.